Have you ever really stopped to think about where your beliefs come from? I mean, really come from. Not just what you believe, but the why behind it. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the secret architecture of our own minds, those invisible structures that, believe it or not, shape our entire reality. Let's dive in.
So, let's start with a really direct question. Just for you. Think about your strongest beliefs, the big ones. About your career, about life, about other people. Be honest with yourself. Do you think you got there through some careful, rational, logical process?
Okay, so the answer for pretty much every single one of us is no. And look, I know that might sound a little jarring, but that's the core idea we're going to unpack today. The way we really form our beliefs is, well, it's a lot weirder, way more emotional, and frankly, a whole lot more interesting than we've been led to believe. So you might be thinking, okay, so what? Why does this even matter? Well, it matters because your beliefs aren't just, random opinions. They're the operating system for your entire life. Seriously, they're like the invisible code running in the background, shaping every single thing you experience. Just think of it like this. Your beliefs are the filter you see the world through. If you believe deep down that the world is a hostile place, your brain literally goes on high alert, scanning for threats everywhere. But if you believe opportunities are everywhere, you'll start seeing possibilities that other people are completely blind to. Your beliefs dictate what you notice and what you ignore. They're not just observing your reality, they are creating it. Okay, so if these incredibly powerful beliefs don't come from logic, where do they come from? The answer is that their roots go way, way deeper and start much earlier than most of us ever realize. They're born in our subconscious, they're born from pure emotion, and they're born from a very basic human need.
And here is the big plot twist. We love to think we follow the process on the left, right? That we're these rational detectives gathering evidence and then forming a conclusion. But the truth, the way it almost always works, is the path on the right. The first and most important step isn't looking at evidence, it's deciding who to trust. We trust someone, our parents, our friends, our tribe, and we adopt their belief. Then, and usually only then, do we go out and find the evidence to justify what we already believe. It's completely backwards from how we think it works.
The Nobel Prize winner Danny Kahneman put it perfectly. He said, "We don't form beliefs from evidence, we justify beliefs born from trust." Just let that sink in for a second. Believing isn't some intellectual thing. It's a social thing. It's about belonging. It's about loyalty. It's about our identity. We basically inherit our worldview from the people we trust long before we have the tools to even question it. And when I say early, I mean shockingly early. Look at that number, 10. Before you were even 10 years old, a huge chunk of your core beliefs, the ones that guide you as an adult, beliefs about love, about safety, about what you're worth, they were already being installed. Because when you're that young, you don't use logic to figure out the world. You feel your way through it. A little kid in a house with a lot of tension doesn't think to themselves, my parents seem to be arguing. No, they just absorb that feeling of tension, and it turns into a belief like, I need to be quiet and never cause trouble. Or, an anxious parent doesn't need to say anything for their child to soak up that anxiety and form the belief that the world is a dangerous place. These early feelings, they don't just become memories. They become the unshakable facts of life. All right, so we've got these beliefs that are formed super early, based on emotion. But it doesn't stop there. Oh no, the world around us then spends the rest of our lives basically confirming those beliefs over and over again. It creates this incredibly powerful feedback loop. Think of your environment as a giant echo chamber. It just reflects your own beliefs back at you until they feel like solid truth. I mean, if you're surrounded by negative, cynical people all the time, that negativity stops feeling like a choice and just starts to feel like realism. And if you're around ambitious people, suddenly big goals feel totally normal. Your environment doesn't just nudge you, it sets the boundaries for what you think is even possible. This is so important, I'm going to say it again. Your environment doesn't just influence your beliefs, it writes them. This isn't passive stuff. Every single conversation, every show you watch, every person you hang out with, it's all programming. It's all writing the code of your reality, and most of the time, we don't even realize we're giving it permission. And all of this leads to what is, honestly, the most critical and maybe the most dangerous part of this whole thing. It's the mind's final magic trick. It's the one that can lock us inside our own little world without us even knowing the walls are there. So here it is, the grand illusion. On the left, you see what a belief actually is. It's just a story your brain made up to make sense of something that happened. But on the right, that's how it feels. It feels like the absolute undeniable truth. It doesn't feel like a story you're telling yourself. It feels like, well, that's just how the world works. We all love to think of ourselves as cameras, right? Objectively recording what's happening out there. But we're not cameras, not at all. We're more like projectors. We're constantly casting our own internal movies, all our stories, our fears, our hopes, onto the world around us, and then we turn around and say, see, that's reality.
Okay, I know this might all be sounding a little heavy, maybe even like we're just trapped by our past. But that's not the end of the story. Here's the good news, the truly hopeful part. You are not a prisoner of this programming, because the moment you can see the architecture, you can start to change it. You can become the architect yourself.
And this isn't about, tearing the whole house down. It's more like a conscious renovation. You start looking at each belief one by one. Some of them are great. They're serving you well. You keep those. Some are mostly good, but they need a little update, so you refine them. And others, especially those old ones from when you were a kid, you've just outgrown them. It's time to let them go. And then there are the ones that are really holding you back. Those you have to actively break and then consciously replace with something new, something that actually serves the person you want to become. So where do you even begin? It's simple. You just become a curious investigator of your own mind. Pick a belief that you hold really strongly and just gently ask yourself, where did I actually get this from? No judgment, just pure curiosity.
Yeah, try to trace it back. Follow the breadcrumbs. Did it come from your mom or dad, a teacher, the culture you grew up in? And what about them? What was their story? Just understanding where a belief came from is often enough to loosen its grip on you.
And here's the most important question of all, the ultimate test. It's not, is this belief true? The question is this belief useful? Does it help you? Does it support the person you're trying to become? You get to be the boss here. You decide which beliefs get to come with you into the future. What's really amazing is that this doesn't just change how you see yourself. It completely changes how you see other people. Once you realize that everyone, every single person, is walking around inside their own secret architecture, built from their own childhood, their own fears, their own loyalties, well, it gets a lot harder to be judgmental. You can start to replace that judgment with real compassion, with real curiosity. So, let's leave it there. You have the blueprint now. You can see the hidden architecture of your own mind. So the only real question is, what's the first belief you're going to examine?